Arsenal are going back in for Bruno Guimaraes, and this time, £65 million could change everything. Welcome to Wenger Arsenal Daily, your trusted home for everything Arsenal. If you have not already subscribed to our YouTube channel, please go and do that right now. We bring you honest, passionate, and detailed coverage of every Arsenal story, every transfer, and every big moment at this incredible club. Thousands of Gooners already trust us as their daily Arsenal source, and we want you right here in this family too. Now let us talk about a transfer saga that has been building all summer, that has just hit a very important new chapter, and that could end up being the defining piece of business Arsenal do in this entire window. Introduction. Arsenal have been after Bruno Guimaraes for a long time. This is not a new name on the list. This is a player Arsenal tried to sign before Newcastle beat them to his signature back in January 2022. This is a player who Arsenal's people have been watching, admiring, and wanting for the best part of 4 years. And now, finally, the moment feels like it could actually arrive. Arsenal submitted a first offer of £55 million to Newcastle, and it was rejected. But the Gunners did not walk away. They told Newcastle directly that a new and improved offer would be coming, and according to multiple trusted sources including Team Talk and Chronicle Live, that improved offer of £65 million plus add-ons is now imminent. Newcastle correspondent Lee Ryder, who has the strongest inside knowledge of this situation at the club, has gone on record saying that £65 million could be the tipping point, could be the figure that gets the wheels moving, and could finally bring one of the best midfielders in the Premier League to the Emirates. So what is the full state of play? What has Arsenal's initial offer told us about Newcastle's position? And what would Guimaraes actually mean for this football club? Let us go through every single piece of this together. Chapter 1. The first offer and why it was rejected. The story of Arsenal's pursuit of Guimaraes this summer has been one of gradual escalation, and understanding the starting point is important for seeing why the £65 million offer now feels like such a critical moment. Arsenal made their first formal approach to Newcastle earlier this week, submitting a bid understood to be worth around £55 million. The Magpies knocked it back immediately. Football Insider confirmed the rejection, reporting that Newcastle have made clear they consider their captain as someone they do not want to sell, and that their initial response to Arsenal's approach was to turn it down and begin planning fresh contract talks with the player instead. Newcastle's official public position has been consistent throughout this saga. Manager Eddie Howe confirmed that Guimaraes is very important to the club and not someone they are looking to move on. Fabrizio Romano, the most trusted transfer journalist in world football, also confirmed that Newcastle's stance is they do not want to sell their captain. But here is where the story gets much more interesting. Official public positions and actual behind-the-scenes reality in football are often very different things. And what the behind-the-scenes reporting tells us is far more nuanced and far more encouraging for Arsenal fans than Newcastle's public statements suggest. Chronicle Live's Lee Ryder, who covers Newcastle more closely than almost any other journalist in England, told Football.London something very significant in an interview this week. He said, "We are told that £65 million could be the tipping point. It could be some type of verbal agreement between Bruno and his people. And if Arsenal turn that into an official bid, then the wheels might start moving." Think about what those words mean. Not from a random social media account. From the journalist who knows the Guimaraes situation at Newcastle as well as anyone alive, he is saying the player and his people already have some kind of understanding that £65 million is the number that gets this moving. Arsenal have been encouraged. The wheels are ready to turn. They just need to push the button. Here is the first question for this community. If one of the most trusted and most connected Newcastle journalists in England is saying that £65 million could get this deal done, and Arsenal are about to submit exactly that offer, how excited should every Gooner be feeling right now? Chapter 2. Why Guimaraes wants out of Newcastle. One of the most important and most revealing details in this entire saga is the fact that Guimaraes himself appears to have had his head turned by Arsenal's interest. And understanding why makes complete sense once you look at Newcastle's situation this summer. Caught Offside confirmed that Guimaraes' head has been turned. Team Talk backed that up by reporting that the Brazilian is concerned about the direction Newcastle are heading in and the kind of ambitions the club can realistically offer him going forward. His former Newcastle teammate Emil Kraft, speaking to the BBC, described Guimaraes as the most important player in the team, praised his ability to manage games both physically and technically, and said he hoped the club could keep him, but acknowledged the enormous amount of speculation surrounding his future. The reasons why Guimaraes might be open to leaving are very clear and very understandable. Newcastle finished 12th in the Premier League last season. That is not the performance level of a club chasing trophies or competing at the very highest level of European football. They have already sold Anthony Gordon to Barcelona for a massive fee. They are on the brink of losing Sandro Tonali to Tottenham for around £100 million. And they have failed to qualify for European football, meaning next season Guimaraes would be playing in the Premier League alone with no Champions League or Europa League nights to look forward to. Compare that to what Arsenal are offering. Premier League champions, a club in the Champions League next season, A squad built around winning trophies and competing at the very highest level of the game. A manager in Mikel Arteta who has shown time and again that he can take good players and make them great ones. For a player of Guimaraes' ambition and quality, who at 28 years old is right at the peak of his career, the difference between those two options is enormous. Team Talk also reported a very telling detail about the agents involved in this situation. Guimaraes' representatives recently met with super agent Kia Joorabchian. For those who do not know, Joorabchian has extremely strong connections with Arsenal, having been involved in multiple deals between Brazilian players and the club over the years. His involvement in conversations around Guimaraes is a very significant signal about where the player's thinking is heading. Chapter 3. The numbers that make £65 million. Such a compelling case. Now let us talk about the money side of this deal, because the financial case for Arsenal submitting this offer is actually one of the strongest of any deal the club could do this summer. Newcastle paid £40 million for Guimaraes when they signed him from Lyon in January 2022. They are now being offered £65 million for a player in the final 2 years of his contract. On paper, that represents a £25 million profit on one of their best investments in years. Not a huge windfall, but a meaningful return on a deal that has given them 4.5 seasons of outstanding service from one of the best midfielders in the Premier League. The reason £65 million rather than the £100 million that some early summer reports suggested feels achievable is the contract situation. Guimaraes has under 2 years remaining on his deal. That is a significant reduction in Newcastle's negotiating power. If they hold out for a higher fee and Guimaraes pushes for a move, they face the very real prospect of losing him on a free transfer in the summer of 2028. A club that has just sold Gordon and is about to sell Tonali for massive fees does not need the financial income from a Guimaraes sale to survive. But the option of recovering £65 million rather than losing him for nothing in 2 years is a very compelling one. Give Me Sport put it perfectly. They described £65 million for a complete, all-action midfielder of Guimaraes' quality as fantastic business from Arsenal, particularly given the eye-watering fees other players have been moving for in this transfer window. Compare it to Matheus Fernandes at £85 million. Compare it to Sandro Tonali at £100 million. Compare it to Felix Nemecha at around £86 million. Guimaraes, widely regarded as the best midfielder of that entire group, would cost Arsenal less than all of them if the £65 million figure gets the deal over the line. Agents Giuliano Bertolucci and Kia Joorabchian have both been tipped to play a role in helping Arsenal complete this deal. With experienced and well-connected agents working on the player's side who also have strong Arsenal relationships, the machinery to get this done is already in place. Chapter 4. Who Guimaraes is and what he brings to Arsenal. For any Gooner who still needs to be convinced about just how good this player is, let us tell his story properly and lay out exactly what he would add to this Arsenal squad. Bruno Guimaraes was born on the 16th of November 1997 in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. He came through the youth system at Atlético Paranaense, one of the biggest clubs in southern Brazil, winning multiple trophies there including the Copa Sudamericana in 2018. He was also part of the Brazilian under-23 team that won Olympic gold in Tokyo in 2021. He moved to Olympique Lyonnais in January 2020, and his performances in France were so impressive that Newcastle paid £40 million to bring him to England in January 2022. At Newcastle, he has been, by almost every measure, the best midfielder in the club's recent history. He became club captain. He has been voted Players' Player of the Year. He has been consistently described by coaches, teammates, and analysts as the most important player in the squad. Emil Kraft's words, that Guimaraes manages the game so well both physically and technically, capture the essence of what makes him so special. His numbers at Newcastle this past season were outstanding. He scored 9 goals and provided 7 assists across 41 appearances in all competitions. That is 16 direct goal contributions from a central midfielder, a number that would be impressive for a number 10, let alone a player whose primary job is to control the midfield and win the ball. His goal tally from central midfield puts him among the most productive midfielders in the entire Premier League. At the World Cup for Brazil this summer, he has been nothing short of sensational. He has provided 4 assists in 4 games for Carlo Ancelotti's side and has been one of the most consistently impressive players in the entire tournament. Every time Brazil have needed a creative spark from midfield, it has been Guimaraes who has provided it. The whole football world has been watching and the verdict is unanimous. He is an elite player performing at an elite level on the biggest stage the game has to offer. For Arsenal, his profile fills a gap that the club has been trying to address for a long time. He is powerful, versatile, and a genuine leader. He can drop deep and control the tempo from a defensive position or push forward and contribute directly to goals. He reads the game intelligently and his physicality means he can handle the demands of the Premier League and the Champions League across a long and demanding season. Alongside Declan Rice, he would give Arsenal arguably the best central midfield pairing in the entire country. Chapter 5. Why Newcastle are in a difficult position, despite their stance. Let us look at this from Newcastle's perspective for a moment. because understanding their situation tells you why Arsenal's persistence is going to be very difficult for the Magpies to resist. Newcastle have publicly insisted they do not want to sell Guimaraes and are preparing a new contract offer to keep him. Football Insider confirmed that the club is planning crunch talks with the player, with Eddie Howe making it very clear he sees Guimaraes as a key part of his long-term plans. These are not the words of a club that wants to lose their captain. But there are several factors working against Newcastle's ability to hold their position. First, the contract situation. With under 2 years remaining on his deal, every month that passes without a renewal increases the risk of Newcastle losing him for free. If Guimaraes decides he wants to leave, Newcastle face a choice between accepting a fee now or watching him walk out the door for nothing in 2028. Second, the squad changes happening around him. Guimaraes has already seen Anthony Gordon leave. He is now watching Sandro Tonali, his midfield partner and a close friend at the club, heading to Tottenham. Losing two of your closest teammates and best friends in the same summer is the kind of thing that accelerates a player's decision-making about their own future. Third, the football ambition question. 12th place in the Premier League and no European football next season is not the environment a player of Guimaraes' ambition and quality wants to be in at 28 years old, the peak of his career. Arsenal, as Premier League champions in the Champions League, offer him something Newcastle simply cannot match right now. Fourth, the financial reality. Losing Gordon and Tonali for a combined fee of around £170 million gives Newcastle a healthy war chest. They are not selling Guimaraes out of financial necessity. But the offer of £65 million for a player with 2 years left on his deal, at a time when Newcastle are already reshaping their squad dramatically, is a very logical piece of business even from their perspective. Chapter 6. What Guimaraes would do to this Arsenal squad. Let us paint the picture of what Bruno Guimaraes at Arsenal would actually look like, because this is the most exciting part of everything we have discussed. Arsenal already have Declan Rice as their midfield anchor and one of the best defensive midfielders in world football. The question has always been who plays alongside him and elevates the midfield from very good to genuinely world-class. Martin Zubimendi, Mikel Merino, and Thomas Partey have all provided cover, but none of them have quite had the consistent impact that Arsenal fans and Arteta have been hoping for at the very highest level of European competition. Guimaraes changes that picture completely. Playing alongside Rice, he gives Arsenal a midfield pairing that no team in the Premier League would want to face. Rice protects and shields the defense. Guimaraes drives forward, scores goals from midfield, provides assists, and controls the tempo with physical dominance and technical quality. The combination of those two players in the same midfield would be one of the most complete and most powerful pairings English football has seen in recent seasons. Beyond just the quality of the midfield pairing, Guimaraes also brings the leadership and the character that a squad challenging for the Premier League and the Champions League simultaneously needs. He has been a club captain. He has performed in big games for Newcastle and for Brazil under enormous pressure. He has the mentality and the experience to handle every demand that Arsenal's schedule will throw at him next season. This is not just a good signing for Arsenal. This is a signing that could genuinely be the difference between Arsenal defending their Premier League title and winning the Champions League, or falling just short again on both fronts. A player of this quality, arriving at Arsenal at the right time, could change everything. Chapter 7. A message to the Arsenal community. To every single person in the Wenger Arsenal Daily community, this is the biggest transfer story of Arsenal's summer, and it is right at the most critical and most exciting stage it has yet reached. Arsenal tried for Guimaraes in 2022 and missed out to Newcastle. They have kept their interest alive for 4 years. They submitted a £55 million offer this week and had it rejected. They did not walk away. They told Newcastle they would come back. And now a new and improved offer of £65 million plus add-ons is imminent. The most trusted Newcastle journalist covering this story is saying that £65 million could be the tipping point. The player's head has been turned. His agent has met with someone who has strong Arsenal connections. Arsenal have been encouraged that a deal can be done. This is the moment. If there was ever a summer to finally get this deal over the line, it is this one. Newcastle are losing their best players anyway. Guimaraes wants a bigger stage. Arsenal are offering exactly that stage. And the price is one that represents genuine value in any realistic market assessment. Stay close to this story. Stay with this channel. And let us hope that when the new offer lands on Newcastle's desk, the wheels start turning exactly as Lee Ryder suggested they would. Conclusion. Let us bring it all together one final time. Arsenal are set to submit a new and improved offer of £65 million plus add-ons to Newcastle United for Brazilian midfielder Bruno Guimaraes, after their initial approach of £55 million was rejected. Newcastle correspondent Lee Ryder told Football.London that £65 million could be the tipping point that starts the wheels moving. Arsenal have been encouraged that a deal is achievable. Guimaraes has had his head turned by Arsenal's interest and has concerns about Newcastle's direction after finishing 12th and losing European football. He has 2 years remaining on his contract. He has scored 9 goals and 7 assists this past season and has 4 assists in 4 World Cup games for Brazil this summer. Newcastle are preparing a counteroffer of a new contract but face significant challenges in convincing their captain to stay. Here is the question for every Gooner in this community. If Arsenal can get Bruno Guimaraes done for £65 million this summer, would that be the greatest value signing in the club's recent history? And do you believe Newcastle will ultimately hold firm, or will the £65 million offer plus add-ons finally be enough to get this deal done? Drop your answer in the comments below. We cannot wait to hear from you. Share this blog with every Arsenal fan you know, and subscribe to the Wenger Arsenal Daily YouTube channel right now if you have not already done so. We are your most trusted daily source for everything Arsenal, covering every transfer update and every big moment as this incredible club keeps rising. The £65 million offer is coming. Newcastle will have to make their decision, and Arsenal fans everywhere are holding their breath. Up the Arsenal, always.